The next point to move on to, which is the next webinar, is to accelerate the business forward by 10%. So if you cut your spending by 10% and you can move the business forward by 10%, I guarantee you this all debt will be gone in 7 years. Because you'll find that the law of attraction will come into it. Like, you won't be under the same level of stress as, I need more money from the business to fund this wasteful cash flow scene I've got myself into. So by cutting the waste out of your business and out of yourself, and making the business, as you said with that example there, a much more profitable scenario with less sales, you'll find you'll be hurtling towards getting to a debt-free lifestyle, and we all want to get towards that. Yeah. Every one of us, and not be too old to enjoy it.
Okay, and I guess to add to that as well is, once you get into the habit of creating your spending pattern, or identifying what your spending pattern is, what you're going to start to do then is you're going to start to budget for your personal life. And the challenge for a lot of small business owners in Ireland is they don't actually pay themselves a wage every week. They pay themselves whatever the business can afford to pay them. And what happens in that situation then is that they invariably don't pay themselves enough, or they take what's left at the end of the month of business, which they end up actually earning less than a guy on who's working for someone else. Now, in my mind, that's not right, because a business owner is taking huge responsibility in setting up a business. They're providing employment, they're providing greater opportunities for people, so therefore they need to at least earn as much as, if not more than, your average person working in a job. But they're not allowing themselves to do that because they haven't got the discipline to budget, and they haven't decided how much they should be paying themselves. So therefore they're often trying to scrimp and save. And the reason they're doing that is because they're not focused on where they're spending the money in their business or on their personal lives. So if you save your money if you do this daily plan then in your business as well, it will make sure that there's more money there for you at the end of the month to pay yourself, which is yours to do whatever you want at that point in time. Now, when it comes to business, every business owner that myself and Kevin work with, we look at, we do a budget for them at the beginning of the year with them to identify how much it's going to cost them to open their doors of their business every day of every year. So they know how much they need to turn over to cover their costs. Now, the first thing we do then is we identify areas in that where you can cut costs, because there's always things to be improved on. And we're not kind of cost cut kind of freaks or anything like that, but it's just, there's no point having fat there because it's just a waste of money. Simple things like, where you're getting your phones done, your ESP, your insurance, it pays to shop around on these without being too kind of over the top on it, but you have to kind of get the cost down in the business. And once you start to do the daily plan for yourself personally, you'll start to automatically do it for your business as well, and you'll start to ask the questions. Simple things like in your business, making sure that no one can purchase anything in your business if your business is that level without your authorization, or have rules for purchasing and authorization. I learned the lesson myself one time about 4 years ago, where I had someone working in the office, and I came in one day and they purchased nearly €500 worth of stationery. Most of it made up of post-it notes, all sorts of coloured dividers, etc. Complete waste of money. They could have done exactly the same job with about €50. Now that €400 that they spent, that's a lot of money. That, when you take what into the profit, that's a lot of money every month. And if someone gave you €400 today, you'd be so delighted with the €400. But we had less value on it back then. So what I'm saying is we need to value the money that we earn in our business. We need to value the money that we earn in our personal lives and be very, very cautious of where it's spent. And all that money goes into debt reduction, because there's so many businesses out there right now that are actually doing okay, but they're being strangled by the level of debt that the business owner themselves are carrying. And that stress then that comes from that debt level that they have goes back into the business and affects the ability of the business owner to perform in business. So the reason we're telling people this tonight is that we're not telling them to become like Scrooge or anything like that. We're doing it for the simple reason is we want them to reduce the level of debt that they're carrying. We see people on the TV and radio every day, talking about having a mortgage to pay, etc. But there's an awful lot of business owners out there that have commercial mortgages to pay, sometimes where they actually have the mortgage personally and the business is paying them rent. They still have to earn the money to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage. They may have another investment property mortgage because they were in that zone at the time. So without pointing the finger or positioning blame or anything. That's where they're at. And our objective is to try and help people to get out of that level of debt faster. But it's about taking responsibility first. And we believe that you can actually probably pay for an additional property or loan through the amount that you'd actually save if you actually look at where you're spending your money right now, without adversely affecting your standard of living at all.